Hello and welcome to Lost in the Mamarint podcast, episode number 2, with your hosts, and Jen. She's here too, my lovely business partner in crime, which I like to call her that every time. Have you noticed?
Love it.
Literally, yeah. She's my sidekick. Jen and I found each other and it's just completely changed our lives, hasn't it?
It has. We've got a really nice vibe together, and I think some really nice similar experiences to talk about for this podcast.
We have. So today's podcast is all about asking for help because we're really, really, really crap at it, basically, or the majority of us are really rubbish at it. And I know that I was right in that very beginning, early stages. I felt like I was going to be a failure if I asked for help, any form of. So I just kind of, like I said before, put my mum mask on and off I went. No art, no help needed whatsoever. I can do this on my own and I'm going to do it well or not, so to speak. So asking for help is actually really, really important and it's really, really brave thing to do. For mums out there that are struggling, the biggest thing that you can do is ask for help, but ask for it in the right way and ask from it from the right people, those that are around you and that can support you, and get yourself into groups and communities as well where there are mums inside feeling exactly the same as you. I know for me, I reached out in a group. That was my first cry for help. I'd gone to the doctors, I'd asked for some help and I got given some tablets and they weren't what I wanted them to, be. I felt numb. I didn't feel I just coast along every single day. I didn't even feel anything, to be quite honest with you. But that was my first reach out for help. And I went to help and asked for help from the people that I believed could support me. And unfortunately, they didn't. So my first then reach out again was when I come back off my holiday and I'd been watching my daughter play in the pool. And I thought to myself, if I don't sort myself out, I'm not going to see her next birthday. And I don't want that because I've brought her into this world because I love her and I want her and I want to be an amazing mum. So what am I going to do? Things have got to change. And I literally sat on my sun lounger looking at the sky in the Mexican sun. It's in Mexico at the time. And I was like, need some help. I really need some help. And I don't know what that help is that I need, but I know that it's going to come to me when I get home. And I left it at that. And I kind of just went about my rest of my holiday. I tried to enjoy it as much as I could, but it was extremely stressful. I was on this downhill spiral basically. And I came home and I reached out into a group, like I said in the last podcast, into a mums in business group because I was also running a marquee company at the time because I decided to set a business up as well as having postnatal depression because I didn't want to go back to work. That's a whole other podcast. Um, and that's when I reached out into this group that actually had a load of mums in it that really got where I was coming from. And that was my little saviour. And I'm forever grateful for that group and I'm still in there now. And Jen is the coordinator of Mums in Business East Sussex now. So if you're not in a Mums in Business group in Sussex, then head on over. And yeah, that was what I did. I reached out and I was like, I'm struggling and I've got a baby and I've got a business and I know that my life's changed drastically. I know I can't go back to work because the company that I'm with haven't supported me up until this point. I mean, I had to fight to form a job in the first place to even become part-time, but that's a whole other podcast. And that reaching out allowed me to then see a different side to mindset and how I was behaving as a human being, not just as a mum, but as a human being, and what I was doing. So that was my experience of reaching out.
Love it. So I love that you got that kind of validation in the group, and I think a lot of mums find that validation from other mums,
yeah,
especially who have got kids of similar age or in the same kind of generation as them, where it's not like something that was like 40 years ago or whatever, and like, oh no, it's totally fine. So I think for I think for me, I was really trying not to ask for help. And I was really trying not to ask for help because there was this really unhelpful. So, you know, when people kind of presume you might need help, but they say it as if it's some kind of insult to you,
Yeah.
or like some kind of weakness. So then your whole thing is, well, I'm not going to ask for help then. Because
Yeah.
so like midwives and stuff going, well, you know, you seem like you're okay now, but you won't be forever, in this really like kind of almost like smugness, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. So you know me well enough to be like, I'm just going to go, well, sod you then. I'm definitely not going to ask for help now.
Yeah.
Which I think is also kind of a thing, isn't it? Because you put on the mum mask and you're like, no, everything is awesome. And of course it's not. So when we were going through the process of unpicking what had happened with Meredith, I was going through the debrief process and the complaints process with the hospital. I wanted to kind of quantify some of the things that I felt, because saying to a large organisation, I just don't feel very good about what happened, is quite difficult. And I thought, actually, I need to find out whether I've met that threshold for something more significant and labelled. So I can say, well, actually, the outcome is I've been diagnosed with X, Y, and Z, rather than just, I just don't feel very happy with my experience. So like, because if not, it's like booking a flight, isn't it? And not being very happy with it. It's like, but this is different. So I took myself off to the GP, who was very lovely, and referred me off to our kind of local mental health service, which was rubbish. And I know other mums locally have found it rubbish as well, which is really difficult, because you reach out, you have that moment, you're like, right, okay, I think I need some help now. And then actually the support that's offered is inadequate, isn't set up for mums. So I had a friend who said, well, can I bring my breastfed baby? No, of course not. So well, that's going to be a barrier, isn't it, to mums who are going to get help. And you know, having getting kind of issued my like happy tablets that didn't work, and then going off to these appointments that required me to ask for childcare and all the coordination around that with a very young baby, and then to end up with like a male mental health professional who just went on about how his wife had these really easy, beautiful births, and he didn't really know what my problem was literally tone deaf or what.
You can see my face right now. It's a picture.
I can see you cringing. Like, it's true. Like when you say that to someone, like, oh
shocking.
no, oh no. But this is the reality, isn't it? I'm not going to be the only woman that's sat in that room with, you know, mental health practitioners with fairly limited qualifications. As it goes, this is not a qualified therapist or someone specializing in birth trauma or a woman who's been through the same experience that can offer peer support. It's some guy with qualifications not dissimilar to what I held myself at the time, who decided to give me the benefit of his worldly experience, mansplain my birth trauma to me effectively and quite badly. And so then I ended up going to a private service locally that I found really helpful. But actually, a bit like you, a lot of the process started when I started reaching out to other mums, because I needed that validation that I wasn't alone, and that what I felt like I needed wasn't something bizarre and different, that it was quite normal, and it was what other people had experienced as well, and it wasn't me just like being a crappy mum or whatever, that it was normal. And I think I really love that's what we've created in the Lost in the Mumrinth group, and that's part of setting that group up, isn't it, for us?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing is you go through all of these experiences and these little snippets and scenarios, and it's a knock-on effect. So like your experiences and those reaching out to those professionals, that's where it got 18 months. You got to 18 months and I went, like, there's got to be another way. Like, this is not just it. I have not got to go and sit in front of people that, one, don't get it or don't have children and are sitting there, you know, I didn't have counselling in the end because I never got offered it. But I'd got to the point where I was just like, actually, I don't want to talk to you about it either, because you just don't, every time I go to the doctors, you're like, here's some more pills. And I don't want to be on these pills. And I think when you can find a group of mums that not only allow you to vent and speak the things that you need to speak and be open and honest without any judgment, like that then just opens up a whole different channel of communication and support. And that, like you say, is what we've created in the Mamarinth. Like, you can come in there and rant and share and be able to never feel judged, because there will be no judgment from any of us. And I think I speak for Jen when I say this, If anybody is in there judging, they're out. Bye-bye.
100%.
Boots are up the arses.
And we
And they are
haven't had it
gone.
yet, have we?
No,
We haven't had it
we
yet.
haven't.
It's really clear
Yeah.
that's the community. And like we know people normally start reaching out to like friends and family or partners, and that's a really natural place to ask for help. However, very often they're not suddenly like swaddled with support and love the way you would want them to be. There's something about motherhood, I think, and the fact that it impacts families and partners and friendships and things like that. Like certainly in my incident, some of it was, well, your experience has affected me too, or your experience has affected me worse than it's affected you. Which is like, that's bold, isn't it?
It is, but I think as well with there's this really safe space on an online community where actually, to begin with, you don't know those people inside those groups, so you can be blatantly and brutally honest, and those people are experiencing exactly the same thing as you. There's no judgment from your mum or your aunt, or oh, you should be like this and you should be doing that, and I felt like this and I felt like that. Lovely. Well, I don't. So I think being able to reach out into a community which we've created is like a safe haven, but you're actually going to get the support that is right. We acknowledge everything that you are feeling. We understand everything you're feeling because we have been there too. This is what we've done to get away from it. And these are the steps that we have taken to come out the other side of this. And this is how we're feeling. So by taking you then on that journey of smothering you with love instead of smothering you with you should be's, because like the word should
don't talk about it
should not be in my vocabulary.
Literally.
So I think it's important to have that balance of like, yes, rant, share, support each other, but then help each other grow out the other side of it. And there will be there'll be mums in there that are a little bit further along their journey, and there'll be mums in there that are just coming in and they're like, whoa, this is crap. But there are mums that are like, no, do you know what, we've been in this community, we've been working with these girls for a while, and actually we're feeling like this now. These are the things that we incorporate into our lives. And I think the thing is, it's life changing. All of this is life changing if you want it to be, but in such a positive way, not just I'm a mum, I've got to put up with this shit now till they're 18. I'm just going to get on with it.
Take back control. That's something we talked about in the last podcast, isn't it? That you wanted to take control. And I think sometimes when other mums inspire us with things that have worked for them that aren't the typical, well, I went to the doctor and got tablets and that didn't work and yada, yada, yada. And that doesn't mean it doesn't work for everyone. We have some people in the group who, have loved, the counselling process for them, or have done really well with medication, have had a great experience, and that's amazing. But for those that didn't, it shouldn't be, well, the classic journey doesn't work for you, so sorry, that's too bad, that's the end of the road. Because when we talk to the group, it's stuff like talking to other mums. It's stuff like taking time for themselves. It's a lot of things that are quite holistic, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, really holistic.
Really holistic, and kind of alternative things that certainly, like, me, I'm not very woo.
I'm so woo.
You're super woo. You're the other end of super woo. But there would be a real surprise to me, and I really needed my eyes open, so at least I had something to try. Like, if I go and it doesn't work for me, well, like whatever, but then it's in my control to try something, isn't it?
100%. It's all in your control. And I think when you realize that and you know that everything is in your control, your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, your behaviors, the stuff that's happening in your life, it's all within your control. So you have to, right, who have I asked for help? How have I asked for it? Am I reaching out to the right people? Where do I go from here? What do I do now? And what you do is you go and you get yourself inside the Lost in the Amaranth group. That's the best place for you, because you're going to get the support that you need. And then you can grow and nurture yourself and come through that labyrinth that is motherhood. Because without it, you're just going to end up spiraling into the oblivion. And it's only down. It only goes down if you're not getting the help and support that you're
really hard, isn't it? Because the further you're down, the harder it is to come out and get support. And I think a lot of the mums in the Lost in the Amaranth group, and certainly for me, had to start the process of helping themselves. Because if you sit there just saying to someone, well, I need help, then actually you're relying on that other person to be that for you. And we can't be the everything for
No.
anyone else. So it's about being able to do little, even if it's like a tiny step for yourself, something that you hear that you think, yeah, I can do that. Like whatever it is, going for a walk, going for a massage, getting some
Yeah.
Reiki, like whatever,
Yeah.
you know, going for coffee with a mate you really trust, whatever it is. Because then when you start climbing back out again, then you have the kind of mental energy and the reserves to take on the bigger issue, which might be, well, when I asked for help, why didn't that person support me?
Yeah.
That,
And
you know,
that's on
that was
them.
crappy.
Then
Yeah,
that
and that's
becomes
on
on
them.
them.
That's on
Yeah.
them. But of course, it's something that plays on the mind, and you know, you feel like you have to re-examine, but you need some mental strength, don't you, to go through those things that are tougher.
Yeah. And I think I used to always have this saying, you know, put your big girl pants on, right? And putting your big girl pants on is great, because we
Mm-hmm.
do need to do that to a certain degree. But those big girl pants don't mean that you shut up and put up.
No,
Those
no.
big girl pants mean that actually I have to have some difficult conversations, and I need to go to the people that need to give me the help and support that I need. But big girl pants also mean I have to take ownership of what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to recognize that I am in my fullest power and in control of my life when I do that. And that is where the Mamarinth will help you massively.
Yeah, we talk about taking back power quite a lot, don't we? Because we know
Yeah.
that mums often feel so powerless and
Mm.
they don't realize the power
Yeah.
that they hold and that they can utilize and use to charge themselves up and do whatever they need to do because they just feel at that rock bottom point.
The day I reached out into that group was the day I took my power back.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else there has just been a journey, you know. So that was the thing. That was the thing that went, yeah, enough's enough. We're in. Let's go for this. I'm not doing this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big, I'm better. I deserve a better life. I deserve to be happier. I deserve to enjoy being a mum. You deserve it all, but you need to recognize that you deserve it. Okay.
100%.
Should we leave it there for
I
this
think we
one?
should, Emma. I think we should.
Mwah! Love you all very much. Thank you for joining us, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye, bye, bye.